calling from the big island of Hawaii. The picture in back of me is from Denver Airport, which is basically the home of U.S. Air Force New World Order, if in case anybody didn't know that and doesn't. It's not one president that's responsible for anything. It's multiple, starting with Eisenhower and Truman. The whole space program, what's going to happen, and things around that, the underground cities and all that too. I'm going to get into a lot of things as fast as I can and as much as I can. So let's start with what happened with our presidency. Women had the right to vote, which they didn't have before 1920. All right. And what did they do with their vote? This coming year is going to be a disaster, people, whether you realize it or not. When a man comes out, openly says he will be a dictator on day one, what's that mean to you? Do you have a brain? Do you understand the word dictionary or what it means? Compound of what he wants to do, what he's going to do. But here's a person going to be in charge of the Army, Navy, Marines, never served in war. He had a spoon up you know what, and he never did. And then what's he do? He's going to bring other people in on criminal charges like he is on in part of his government system. And one of the worst people to bring in the world into his cabinet, whatever you want to call it, is Mr. Musk. Musk's going to be the richest person on the planet. Never mind, all his stuff gets paid by the U.S. government. He's releasing a spaceship in a couple months. Big deal. The U.S. government is going to release theirs, which will be the most deadliest weapon on the planet. And it will be a spaceship, because they've been working with aliens a lot longer than Musk has been. All right, here's the thing. Both of them, Mr. Trump and Mr. Musk, have some kind of weird dealings with Putin. Something most people don't know. Right before Trump was elected president the first time, Mr. Putin went on Russian TV 3 months before he was president and said, I want you to come out and tell the world what really happened at 9/11. And then he said, I want you to tell the truth, what you're really doing with aliens. At that point, he said, we are working with aliens. Two races want to destroy the planet. And that's coming out of Mr. Putin's actual mouth. When he met Trump himself, he told him the same thing. All right. Trump didn't do either. But the day after he left Mr. Putin, he created the Space Force, which he didn't create and just gave it a name. His name, I mean. But where are we going with that? Musk's desire, dreams, twisted mental abilities all pertain to going to Mars. Like that's going to help all the poor people, starving people, middle-class people on this planet do anything. Then he wants to spend more of the government's money building a space city. And who is that going to help? You or me? Anybody? Your children? Are they going to want to live in a space city? That's in Texas? Everybody's going to move to Texas and join the space city? No. And then even if he got to Mars, who's he going to bring there? Everybody? Who can he bring to Mars? While he's spending all our money. What did he do? Give $60 million a month to Trump to win the election. Why would he do that? Because if Kamala got in, he'd be paying the highest taxes in the world, which he sure didn't want to do either. So, where are we going from here? All right, all the people Trump's bringing into power in his group, including people like Oz and, well, guess what? We don't need Oz, do we? But people with criminal backgrounds, people that are not famous for anything, not doing anything important, all right, into a cabinet where they're going to be responsible for controlling our armies, our Navy, our Marines, our food system, our life system. All right, when he admits there is no such thing as global warming, he believes in oil and really, gasoline, we really need to do that. And no matter what he says, the native people hate him, all right, because of major reasons. He let them torture the native people when they were boycotting the pipeline that went across their land. And on the top of that, It broke a couple months later and flooded the whole area. But he wants to pass a bill that makes Native people go to jail for 25 years if they interfere with the pipeline. All right. He's got these things in his mind, especially the border. What is he going to do? Well, let's reverse that. George Washington, in his days, with all his people, came out, and actually his headquarters, George Washington, was on the borderline of New York City, and it was called the Jumeau Mansion. It became a mansion because it was basically all horse stables and his house where he lived, and they had battlefields there because they could see the East and West River. But in the interim, that piece of land became Harlem. All right. I mean, you heard of the famous duel between Hamilton, right? All right. But here's the thing, people. We're right next to all these things going down. Nobody's aware of half of the reasons behind it. The Constitution is a lie. Do you understand anything about the Constitution? Well, we have the right to this. We have the right to... No, you don't have the right to do anything except what the government wants you to do. When the Second Amendment was created a long time ago, Jefferson was going across the southern part of the United States, killing every Native tribe he could. There was rewards for any Native American scalp, man, woman, or child. More for man, a little less for women, and even paid for killing his child and taking his scalp. All right, that's white Americans, people, and the Spanish. All right. Then, when the Constitution, if you read all the parts of it instead of just the Second Amendment, what rights do you have? Freedom of speech. What can you say? Can you go out and say you want to kill the president? Can you say certain things that whatever? Now, the other thing, the Patriot Bill was changed by Bush, right, the day after 9/11. And his words were, you are either for us or you're a terrorist. When Jefferson created that, he created it so the people of the United States could form a militia and take out the government if they were unfit, not doing what the people wanted. All right? That Bush didn't like the idea of that. Bush was a part of the New World Order. He was a part of a lot of things, people. There's so many things happening. Like the picture in back of me, if you went to Denver Airport the year after it was created, you would have seen the floor, U.S. New World Order, in steel, in the floor with the capstone with all the president's trophies and everything else. And it was the only airport that had these conveyor belts going around supposed to be taking skis around the airport, which is a lie. It was never built for that and never served for that. Now, the second part of that, all right, the murals that were there, which is like one of the ones in back of me, there was 4 murals showing 4 different races that they were going to take out. I'm not going to name them. You should be able to figure that out. Some of them are still around, but they moved them. They moved most of them down underneath into the underground city underneath it. And they spent many years building a city and train subways underneath the ground. All right. Now, they were using a regular rock boring machine to make the holes and tunnels, but they changed that to laser tubes, which just created tubes without producing rocks. But if you walked around that airport for miles, all you would see was piles of rocks because they were digging with a machine, which actually changed when they created a laser gun that could make a tubular tunnel. But people, do you care that there's underground cities all across the United States? Does any president talk about that? Does anybody talk about that? Now, we had one person came out and exposed it. He was doing a TV show for 2.5 years when they took him off the air. All right. He was famous. I'm not going to go into that. But he exposed it, and he showed it. He showed where the New World Order temple, main city, main house is being built. All right. It has like an 8-foot wall. It's bigger than the White House and all that. And it goes directly over the porthole to the underground city that's there. I don't know what that is. Popping up in front of me. So here's the thing, people. I know you don't want truth. You don't want to hear the real things. You just want to live in la la land and believe angels are going to save you. Jesus is going to come back and walk the planet and all these kind of things. Muhammad's story worked with Gabriel. Gabriel's going to come down and do what? All right. Angels are only bringers of the messages. They were never teachers. I mean, like Noah, all right, when he was given information and everything to build an ark. But people, when they deal with angels, they're not here to guide you in life and help you and teach you. Not angels. That's not their mission. And besides, they were all thrown out of the higher realms, all right, to come into the lower realms, which we are in, the lowest of them all. And on top of that, there's other words that were here before angels were, and they were called deities. Hinduism, the first religion on the planet, they followed deities. The deities left. They were real, but very few people had real meetings with them, work with them, and things like that. But when that ended, aliens took over. It was the aliens that fed the Egyptians, the Mayans, the Aztecs, and all the races. Even the native people in the United States believed they were working with the star beings, which were the Greys. And the Greys did not do anything important or beneficial to the human race, ever in history. The races that are here were here a long time ago, when the earth was actually the Garden of Eden. There were 9 races living here. All right. 5 left because they attained spiritual awareness and didn't need to stay here. The 4 left, black, yellow, red, and white, stayed, and they had to. But they're the ones that were reprogrammed by aliens, not created by aliens, to kill, sacrifice, eat meat, and make women slaves. Women have been slaves for 100,000 years. Women, do you understand that? No. You know when freedom came to women? Whether you want to believe in religion, it's not religion. Jesus came here to show love of a woman. And after that, women started getting a little more brought into a family as far as a person instead of a slave. That's the facts. Do your research. Do your history research. You follow any religion you want, and they'll tell you more stories. Especially when Zachariah Sitchin created a book about the Enochs and created his whole fantasy story about who they were, what they were. They're coming back and all this baloney. There's a few races coming here, and they are not going to be peaceful, ever. They never were. They destroyed how many races, including the giants? I mean, even the book of Enoch was taken out of the Bible, but the giants were always here. And they were actually using little people until the little people started killing them as well. But then aliens realized they didn't want people with any kind of spiritual awareness because they didn't even know what it meant, but they wanted slaves. And then man made an idea of what they wanted in life, which is toys, and they fed them that. Everything we're getting as far as weapons, technology, and all that came from aliens. And the most deadliest weapons on the planet came from aliens, people. Not some Japanese guy, Chinese guy bending over and playing with the dirt and saying, wow, I can mix this with that. No. I'm talking about the serious weapons that are in use and going to be in use right now. And a hydrogen bomb, neutron bomb, electron bomb, proton bomb are not the dangers anymore. And that's what people talk about. Oh, they're going to use a nuclear bomb. No. We got weapons way beyond that. You ever hear of chemical warfare? Do you know how dangerous that is? They're supposed to be outlawed, but how do you outlaw a weapon? We didn't outlaw any weapons in the United States, or any other country really did not either. All right? They use them. They were using lasers in some countries as far as weapons and just blasting cars in half. And it's way beyond you want to understand, accept, or believe. Never mind what the government really has. Now, the second thing is, why underground cities? Why doesn't people even talk about it, know about it? Because it is only for the elite people. Right now, there's many. And basically, they're manned by about 10,000 people in each one of them in the United States. And the subways go to travel, whatever you want to call it, goes across the United States. And I'm not going to go any further than that. But there's a lot more to it than that even. And Trump's talking about speed and his spaceship can travel so fast. So what? What do we need speed for? We can't relate to people. Getting to Mars faster isn't going to help people. All right? Everything he wants is not beneficial to the human race. All right? And 25 letters a day, if that. Asking him, I said, look, you care about people. You want to save the planet? help save the children in the United States, feed them, build homes, places for them to live or stay at least. Do constructive things, and people might like you. I don't know why people even like him now. He's talking about freedom. Yeah, we could curse him out here, which is fine. But it doesn't get to his brain, doesn't help him change and become a real person. He knows nothing about God, and neither does Trump. Trump puts pictures of him with angels in back of him on his knees praying. To what? He doesn't even know what the Lord's Prayer means because he couldn't say the things he does if he believed it. People, you are pathetic people if you voted for Trump. I don't care who you are. He's a sick man, and you're going to see a sick world coming real soon. We're going to be in war, and it's not because China doesn't like him. He wants to get Chinese people out of the United States, and he wants to stop people from coming into the United States. Who's he want in the United States? Does he realize jobs right now are so big and nobody can fill the jobs? Oh, the small jobs. You know what Mr. Musko said? He said, well, we're going to eliminate all the useless jobs. What's a useless job? Poor people that need clean the sewer, things that people don't want to do. Mow lawns and fields and crops and pick them and all those kind of things. How many white people want to do that? The Indian people came into the United States and they worked all the stores because they were willing to work 12, 24 hours a day and night. They were the only stores open at nighttime, the bookstores and things like that, newspaper stands and things like that. People willing to work. All the people coming into the country aren't going to come out and murder, rape, and all those kind of things. Especially when they come with their family. They're looking for a place to live in peace, which we don't have no more. And if they go back to what George Washington did, let's kill them all. They killed over 50 million native people, left less than 1 million here on reservations. Sure, now they're breeding, mixing, whatever words you want to use as well. But there's a few tribes who keep their language, trying to keep their truth, but that's being taken away. And obviously, I'm not going to go into the details because it's 10 times worse than you could possibly imagine right now. If you pull up Mr. Biden's speech to the Native people, you'll learn a lot. And he should have put it on public TV so every white person in the United States know what happened in our history. It was never put in one history book in the United States, never talked about in the United States by any government person, ever. They're not going to admit what they did, how they slaughtered women and children and things like that. They eliminated basically all the reservations. You understand what's happening in our planet right now? I don't know if you saw the map, the earthquake chart. That was about a month or 2 months ago. Whatever. But we're having the worst situations around the planet, that's called the Ring of Fire, than ever in the past 100 years. And it only escalated the past 5 years, when we could have 10 earthquakes over 5.0 in one day. All right? Up to 6 and 7 when Tibet got wiped. Nothing to drink. Oh, man. Hold on. And what happened? Do you care? Do you want to go by, oh, well, today's a nice day. I could go shopping. Well, look at the prices. See, oh, it's going to change. Gas is going to change. Food's going to change. Even being able to get food is going to change. Oh, they'll be able to get weapons. Yeah, what do people need weapons for? Think about it. And defend themselves. From who? The army when they come to take away everything? You ever hear of FEMA camps? Jesse Ventura exposed more things than any other person in the United States within his 2 years of TV. Everything. From weapons to secret underground bases. Everything. I mean, he's alive. I don't know how. I mean, he's in Mexico. He didn't come back into the United States. But he said he would have run for president if one person was going to run with him. But people don't know who he is. Sure, he was a wrestler, and he was in the army and things like that. But they don't know that he is for people. Not for money, not for government, for people. Always was. People, people that were in the army are a lot different than people that were not. Jefferson was the leader of an army, and he rode across the southern part of the United States, killing every tribe he could. George Washington, the great George Washington, gave the orders to kill 2 tribes when he gave the orders to free 1 tribe and let them live. So guess where that went? Elimination. And it's no better today, and I'm not speaking out of my hat. The tribal people that are off the reservations are okay to the government. People on the reservation are not. They were always considered government property. Government property, people. Children were put in prison camps, Catholic prison camps, until 1920. And I worked in a school 20 years ago, and they had a school with all Native people, one place, and they had another school near it, but all the Native people going to that school was put in one class, all ages. And the excuse was they're all slow. All slow Native people. Really? It's sad what you don't know about your own government, your own history. You learn the facts. They reverse everything. Oh, they were scalping us. No, they weren't. They cut fingers off. But the scalps were being paid by the government. And that's why a person was allowed to carry a gun. People, your history is sick. The history of the United States is pathetic. When Columbus, and it's not even him, when the Vikings came here, they were trading with the Hopi people and the tribes out west. All right? They weren't killers. They weren't fighting. The Hopi people came out from underground to meet the white man, and that was the saddest thing. Their God, which is different, told them to come out. But sadly, white man couldn't perceive friendship with a native tribe. I mean, even when they said they all got together and smoked a peace pipe, there was no such thing as a peace pipe because they weren't friends. They were never friends and never will be. It's called the prayer pipe. You smoke to pray, but they weren't praying for the same things. People, your history sucks. The people that controlled the government always sucked. The Constitution was created only for rich people. If you have the balls to listen to the rest of the show, listen to this because it's really important. The electoral vote, you understand what it is. First off, 60% are men, less than 40% are women. Why? The percentage of men always have to be more powerful than women. Now, when it was created a long time ago, women weren't even allowed to vote. Do you understand that? They were only given the right to vote in 1920. All those years, women weren't allowed to vote. Poor people weren't allowed to vote. The electoral meant they can control the president by who they wanted there, period, whether the people liked it or not. Poor people had to suffer all through that time, the same as the Native people, the black people. All black people were given the same time to vote as women, and the Native people weren't given the right to vote for many years later. Do you understand how contradictory what we believe our government to be is than what it really is? Now, the only thing going on in government is war. Money, war, power. Money, war, power. All right? Where did they get their money? Now, something they tell you we're in a deficit of what, $5 trillion, $10 trillion? Well, when they spend $720 billion a year on war weapons, right? Where's that money come from? How did he get it? It's almost impossible to think about all that money, how it gets spent. All right? Now, when they say, well, with no money, where is money really? Nobody on this planet knows how much money the government has in gold. The same as we don't know how much money Russia has in gold or China has in gold. But you get somebody like one of the multi-billionaires who came was in the United States and bought all the silver, as much as he could. He bought about 60% of all the silver in the planet that he could. People, rich people don't care about people. They never did. I'm going to quote this, not that I'm religious. Jesus was the most spiritual person ever walked the planet. Never, ever said he was God. He had abilities that nobody else ever had either, except Mary Magdalene. But he said this 3 times in the Bible, so it was written by different people in the Bible that heard him say it, and he did say it many more times. It's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich person to get into heaven. Why would he say that? Because money corrupts a mind. No matter how good you are, no matter how nice you are, when you start getting tons of money and become super rich, you become different. It changes who you are. Satan loves money. He'll give money to people that'll use it and abuse it and use it. All right? And there is a Satan. There are demons. There's all kinds of Bigfoot creatures, aliens here. But the government's not going to come out and say that anytime, really, because they can't. They sold the human race out to alien races when they got their weapons. And you will see one next year. The most dangerous weapon. Now when Trump says there's no such thing as global warming, all right, now Al Gore came out with the word global warming. He was paid millions of dollars to promote that, and he did. But he never explained how to stop it or what's really causing it. He showed the effects of it. Oh, sure, fire, earthquakes, volcanoes. He never mentioned other words like geothermal, fracking. All right. The other word people don't believe in, what's happening in the sky. All right. Bombs blowing up on the ground, testing, things like that. The HARP system. Okay, the word's chemtrails. HARP system. All right. There's many things that are causing serious problems to this planet. You can line up all the people in Congress and put them in one room and give them a test on what 5 things are. I'll bet you they can't answer one thing about it. What the HARP system is. What chemtrails really are. Not what they really are not. What fracking does. What geothermal really is doing. What a directed energy beam is. All right? How many people have a clue? Not one of them. And they're all too old to understand anything anyway. Trump's going to be how old? We're going to have a super old man guiding our planet, our life, and what we do, even while he's sitting there saying, I'm a dictator, and I'm going to make this happen, I'm going to make that happen. What you going to do? Like George Washington and Jefferson? Kill all the people coming into the country? He's going to split families and destroy children's lives and everything else. Oh, well, they're evil people. There's enough land and there's enough jobs to take on people. And we keep making more. If we work for that, Musk could supply the whole country with places to live and things that are important for life, like food. But he doesn't. Millionaires don't. When Oprah donates money, what she donate? $2 million? All these rich people. Zinger. Okay. What's he do? Gates, what's he going to do? Make us eat crickets? Do you know what he's saying? Cows destroy the ozone layer. They don't, people. Cow farts aren't destroying our ozone layer. It's already destroyed. It's barely there. Check out Australia. They got the biggest hole in it in the world. And children are getting radio sunburn poisoning from radioactive material in the air and sun coming to us. And the United States government, secret scientists admitted, for the next 10 years, we're already experiencing things that shouldn't have happened until 10 years from now. Meaning the sun's going to be taking convulsions, for a word. You'll see it. You'll feel it. The weather changing greatly. But you know, nobody's talking about spaceships going through the ozone layer. Another thing that is taboo. You can't say that. Because everybody wants to think we can leave the planet. Well, you and your children aren't going to be leaving the planet anytime soon, people. Sure, maybe when your children grow up, their children might be able to get to go on a trip to Mars, to the moon. But really, you don't even know what's on the moon. People don't know or understand it. I've been in the UFO world all my life. I know 1,000 times more than Trump or Musk will ever know about aliens. I'm not going to go into it. This isn't an alien show, which I did for 3 years. And my partner I did my show with is in serious trouble right now. But 16 of my best friends were taken out because of reasons. Taken out. I'm going to use that word. I don't know what words you can use on here without losing your show. All right. My best friend's whole family disappeared in 3 days. He worked for NASA. And then I took him into our house and we showed him pictures of UFOs and everything else. We went out publicly, 1996 to 2002, releasing pictures of real UFOs, not tic tacs and dots and flashes and unknown phenomena. Really, what a twisted way to cover up what's true. But now cameras can take pictures of anything everywhere because everybody has a camera. But now the other thing that screws that up greatly is the ability to create whatever you want with a camera. That's not real. So even if 1 out of 100 pictures are real, or even 1 out of 1,000 pictures are real, guess what that one real means? There's a real alien coming here. All right? You should look at the facts, not the ideas and your twisted programmed ideas from family and friends. I was hated and called, laughed at, and all that all my life. Because I saw my first alien at 12. I saw my first UFO come and abduct my brother at 6. And I stopped it. Don't ask me how, why, or how it happened. It just did. But from then on, I was working with women that had been abducted and losing their children. And proving it. I wasn't out writing books and trying to make money off of it. Helping the woman survive an idea that she lost 2 children in 2 years. She was taken on a ship and showed her child and said, you'll never see them again. And things like that. The woman I did a show with. Her story's incredible. Hold on. Let me just... Where did it go? I put it up here on my altar. Sorry about that. Nice picture in back of me, right? Right. See this? All right. Incredible person. We did a show for 3 years. She's becoming recognized, but she's also very, very sick. I proved she was radioactive every show we did. I made her buy a Geiger counter. She bought another one. And she even bought a different one to see. The government, the hospitals won't admit to anything. I'm not going to go into her story. It's incredible, but it's real. Right? She has more proof of abduction than any other person on this planet. Now, I don't know how bad it is. I didn't hear the latest, but she's in serious trouble. People that I know, I knew the top people in the UFO world. They're all gone. 16 of my friends are gone. All right. Top speakers and everything else in between. Now, something you need to know. Tesla was not a genius. He didn't go to super college and learn super things. He worked in New Jersey, where I did UFO work with a friend of mine for years. He worked with DuPont. DuPont has an underground temple, city, whatever. We never got inside it. But in Pine Bush, I'll get to Pine Bush. Let me just, Wanacue, New Jersey. All right. It's basically Tesla's workforce where he worked with an alien race. They actually flooded a city there, many in the 1900s. All right. And then for almost 9 months, UFOs were going in and out of the reservoir even when it was frozen. The Army was stationed around it for those 9 months. And then it all stopped. But people, nobody talks about that in the UFO world. There's only a few people that can. A person who sold out, Sergeant 18, who was my co-host, co-partner, and everything else. We did a show on Kerry Cassidy for 9 months, showing pictures every week. We showed 5 new pictures of real UFOs, and creatures, aliens, and you name it, and weird stuff. But nobody cared. Well, nobody really cared. I mean, a few people in the UFO world, they pretend to care, but they don't want the truth either. Why are aliens here? Why is Putin working with them? Why is the government working with them? Is it helping people in any way? I'll tell you, the weapons are getting 10 times worse or 1,000 times worse. And what's going to be on the ship that the U.S. releases is going to be, they can take out a country. That's all I can tell you. And I'm sure Russia is working on the same thing, because they said they were working with 27 alien races. Only 2 of them want to destroy the planet. So, and that was out of Putin's mouth, people. Publicly, worldwide. He was speaking in Russian, but he said it publicly on TV. People, you know, other countries aren't hiding their UFO information. But you have to realize how far back UFOs and aliens were here. It's not like Joe Schmo in 1900 saw an alien and now it's a real thing. But they try to relate the Bible and things to UFOs and aliens. But they were there. But when they take an image and revert it to an alien, it's ridiculous. The same as aliens don't need wings to fly around. All right? They don't fly around. You don't see them flying down here anymore, do you? Ever? All right? They don't need wings. They're in a different kind of form of a body. They're called soul bodies. It's light energy, but it's not a solid object. You can't kill it, destroy it, burn it, or any of that stuff. And there's multiple stories. The government's going to create them and use them and put them in. I mean, the government is already working on, let's say 25 years ago. They had 5 super soldiers created in New Jersey. Picatinny Arsenal was the oldest army base on the planet in the United States, anyway, I should say. The first one. And it became a super lab when they created these beings. Don't ask me where they sent them, because they were all like 8 foot tall. Red eyes, the whole thing. Where could they put them? What did they do with them? I have no clue. I knew people working inside there. But outside of that, this giant truck came and picked them up, because they couldn't fit in a regular car or nothing like that. These giant big black vans came and took them away. But where do you bring an 8-foot giant? Well, football players are pretty tall, but I mean 8 foot, but they got red eyes. And they got a lot of superpowers as well. So where do you hide them? And what are you going to do with them? You see them publicly? You see the army talking about them? The government talking about them? Nobody. Why? What's happening? What's really going on? We had wars in space, people. Musk is so ignorant to it. And if he really thinks aliens are going to let him do whatever he wants in space, spending our money to go to Mars, and he doesn't even know what's on Mars. Poor Barbara Eisenhower. Listen to her story. The granddaughter of Eisenhower. What she says. All right. Not that I agree with everything she says, because she understands. She agrees with everything I say. Vice versa. But she's not aware of what her grandfather actually did when he created MJ-12. MJ-12 is the controlling power of the United States and part of the world. And they're real. I mean, there's the word men in black. I mean, there's 2. One are aliens and one are humans. I'm not going to go into that, but they're real. Just telling you, people. Everything you don't believe in is probably 1,000 times more real than you could ever imagine. God, the most important real thing that ever existed and still does. Whether people want to realize it, understand it, or learn about it, they probably don't. They rather worship the universe. They use the word Christ energy, Christ consciousness. They have no clue what that means. Give me one break. Sorry about that, people. Now, we can talk about religion. All right, there's over 2,000 religions on the planet. Only 2 of them have the highest population, Christianity and Muslims. 2.5 Christians and 2.3 Muslims that say they believe in things and stuff. But if you go to war and kill somebody, you're going against the most spiritual law. And it wasn't just because Moses wrote it, because it is a spiritual law. All right. But Moses didn't like the 10 Commandments. He had to write 63 laws. And if you read the Old Testament, it's ridiculous. No person can live by them. I lived in New Jersey for a long time. The Hasidic Jewish people supposedly live by those 63 laws. Everyone I met, I worked as a plumber, a phone company. I was in a lot of people's houses, especially the Hasidic Jewish people. And they contradicted everything of those 63 laws. I mean, Moses was against nakedness in any way. If you saw your child, or your daughter, or your niece, or your friend, all those things, read it. It's ridiculous. You can't live by that. Plus, all these people hung out in the bookstores looking at Playboy magazines in those days. Totally against their spiritual truth, understanding. People lie. When it comes to religion, man takes a word, religion, and molds it into what he wants people to believe. How many religions on this planet talk about a real God? Or even understanding what a God really is? There is only one God. Hinduism started with deities. The Egyptians, the Mayans, Aztec were all following aliens already. The Egyptians' hieroglyphics proved they were ignorant to the truth. They had no idea of reincarnation, what it really meant, and what they did to create it, to try to create it. Embalming people and doing all these things to their bodies and stuff, and hoping to come back to use that body, and everything they were taught is lies. And then again, you remember when the word Mayan calendar came out? What do you think the Mayan calendar meant? Mr. Mayan came out and said, I'm creating a calendar? It was a story that the Mayans were given by an alien race. And it wasn't beneficial. Now, the few people that were psychics, true spiritual psychics in the reality, not spiritual, but psychics, because psychics only one ability. There's 32 abilities to learn to become a spiritual being. And that means you go through ascension. And everybody's using the word ascension like they went through it. No, they didn't. They have no clue what it means. They can't do one psychic ability at 100%. Whatever it is. If they could change the world, and they don't, and they will not, because they don't have that ability to any high level. Healers are false. I mean, even Revelations. You should read Revelations, even if you don't believe in the Bible. John wrote it, and he wrote about the future and what's happening, which is where we are right now. False prophets. People walking around half dead. All those kind of things, people. It was always written. But we're in a cycle. And we're going really far backwards right now. The Gladiator 2 came out Friday, which I want to see. Gladiator 1 was my favorite movie. Not because it was killing and murder and all that. Because to me, it was the greatest love story. I don't know if they're going to make part 2 a love story or not. Probably. Because otherwise, why would there be a reason to fight? It would either be God or a woman. So I don't know how that's going to go down, but I want to see it. But again, people, we are warring evil people living in this reality until we change and leave it. Now, the gladiators and all those kind of things existed all through history. In all of history, it only stopped for about 70, 80 years by one king. He outlawed it. But then, I don't know if he died. I don't follow the story too much. But basically, it came back and started over. But they brought creatures of all kinds into the ring to fight, and horrible things to use. It was a disaster. But guess what? It brought all the people there to watch. People love killing, which was a program given to the human race after Atlantis was destroyed. People don't want the truth. Well, nobody can prove Atlantis. Well, whatever his face was, didn't know anything. He read his thing about Atlantis. Socrates and those people have no clue. And then people try to say, well, this. But here's something that you need to watch. It's on the History Channel. It was the discovery of what's actually going on in the Bermuda Triangle. What they found under it. Now, Atlantis would not be in the Pacific Ocean, people. It would be in the Atlantic Ocean, where the Bermuda Triangle is. And all the things that happened there, they can't prove one thing, how it happened or why it happened. So now they got stories and false beliefs, but the truth is they found a giant crystal pyramid underneath there, shooting out energy. But there's no race to control that anymore. The Atlanteans were wiped out. And then 2 races came here, reprogramming man to be massive killers, eat animals, torture women, sacrifice them, abuse them. And it was okay. It was always okay. Women were never actually recognized as a main person in the family. The king and queen was a little bit different, but the queen didn't have her own rights either. Not with her king husband. People, history's sick. And we're not getting better because we allowed women's rights to be, it's going to be taken away from many women of different agendas. And genitalia for a word, too. Because Trump didn't like a lot of things. I mean, he tried to pull women out of war and not let transsexuals and gays and all those other words into anything and try to stop it and all those other words like that. And then he'll give a state the right to do whatever they want. No, there should be a law that protects all people. All people. Not one gender, one race, or one tribe, or anything. All people, including the native people. But you want to live in La La Land? Fine. You are. Especially if you sit back and think, oh, everything's going to be okay. Just another 4 years. Another 4 years. I probably won't be here in 4 years. Not that I want to be. The world's going to be hell. And it is hell right now. For most people, you know the percentage of rich, middle class, and poor people? Just look at those numbers. 90% of the planet starving, almost starving, homeless, and every other word you can imagine. Looking for the next meal for their children. The middle class is what? About 6%. 4% of the multi-billionaires, millionaires, and rich fools that control everything. Musk is going to be the first trillionaire on the planet. He will be the first real dictator next to Trump. He will brainwash the world to believe that going to Mars will save us. How? And then you listen to these people speak about free energy, including him. His car is not saving the planet. A battery is dangerous to the planet. Every car that runs with a battery is still dangerous to the planet. Well, it's not producing fumes, but guess what? How do they make a battery? What happens to a battery? All those things. It's dangerous. Free energy is free. And there was a company called Better World Technologies who actually put free machines out for a while. Government chased him. Finally, he disappeared. But he actually created the dome homes that are like completely fireproof, bomb-proof. He created soundless jackhammer. He created a lot of things in his short time trying to create free energy for the United States. But when I was young, we had cars that ran on water. That person also disappeared. I know here in Hawaii, years ago, on Earth Day, there was about 5 people on Maui that can convert a car to run on water for $500. And I'm not lying. It wouldn't work the same in the mainland because they have freezing weather. So water would freeze, so it would have to be antifreeze. But here in Hawaii, if you did it, your car had no warranty after you did it, for one. But it did. I don't know how long it's lasting because I didn't have it done. I had a new car and I wouldn't do that to my new car. But they let people drive the cars and ride around in them and stuff like that to see that it runs fine. I don't know what the wear and tear on the car is after running on water. But you know, technology is so far beyond that even. They're not going to release it. Free energy is not going to be free. Then nobody would be doing anything. Free means nobody has to do anything to get it. If there was free food, what would people do? They wouldn't work. Free means let's make everybody have what they want. No, it means let's keep everybody from getting what they want. Sure, everybody wants a house, a car, a boat, a plane, you name it. 10 children. What, Trump has 12 kids right now? 2 wives, girlfriend, a new girlfriend. I said he can't keep it in his pants. That's his problem. But what's he going to do on Mars? call aliens in. Hey, I want to have sex. Come on over. Let's have a big party. I'm going to call in the caterers and bring in some good food. What kind of food is that going to be? People, you hear stories, you believe things, but you're not willing to take any thought and extend it to both sides, good, bad, what's going to really happen, what could happen. Take anything. Free energy, free water. What is going to become the most valuable thing in the very near future? I mean, they know it. They know that. 30 years ago, my brother was a chemist. And I told him all the water in the world's contaminated. He said, that's impossible. It was about 30 days later, he got the newsletter from Science magazine saying that all water is contaminated. Every lake is contaminated to a certain level. And it gave how many days you had to wait to eat a fish from each lake. Some it was like a month, some said you shouldn't eat it at all, and things like that. And that was about maybe even more than 30 years ago. All right, people, what we do, what we believe, and what we think, the ocean's indestructible. No, it's not. The earth's indestructible. No, it's not. The earth will be destroyed. And there'll be another earth to replace it because all these people here have to come back. They can't go into a spiritual realm. They have no idea what spiritual even means. Not one person I ever met could actually give a good deep definition of spiritual. Oh, I pray. I go to church. Oh, I do meditation. So you're spiritual? Now what? Now what do you do? People, you're brainwashed, programmed into basically nothing. Nothing important. I've been in a spiritual quest all my life. I found what I wanted. I learned what I had to. Experienced what I needed to. I had 5 death experiences. Spent about 35 years traveling out of my body. Met with deities, angels, and further. But my first book was How to See God. People, you could read and listen, but if it doesn't touch you, it doesn't help. Jesus walked with his people. Walked with them. And they still were there to help kill him. People never look into a person's eyes because you can see into their soul. You can see who they are. You can become a spiritual awareness person. You can see an aura of a person. Anybody can. It's not a super ability to see a person's aura. You can learn it rather simply. And when you do, a person cannot hide their true color of their aura. Your aura is how you think, feel, and vibrate. And everybody has it. Because their soul is not their body. It's their consciousness, for a word. It's their soul, themselves, what they truly are when their body dies. It changes. Doing to what you do, kill people, smoke, drugs, things like that, changes your aura. Changes your ability, and it twists and changes the word karma. Karma being a disaster. Because mankind only creates more karma than they do get rid of. While they're here, I call it the 5 passions of the mind, which religion called it. I call it what I call it. The 5 things that keep mankind here. The part that the religion uses, lust, greed, anger, vanity, and attachment. Well, they're words, but I say what really keeps man here? Cheap drugs, smoking and drinking. Cheap thrills, sports, fake love. How many people understand what love really is? And how long does it last? Love's not an up and down, comes and goes. Love is for real if it's real. It doesn't disappear ever. Sorry to tell you that. You have 10 wives, guess what? You didn't experience love yet. And you might not ever. Love is your connection to God. And without that, there is no such thing as love. It goes down to the physical 5 senses of the body. Smell, taste, touch. All right. Sex. Kissing. feelings, emotions, and all that. Has nothing to do with God. So to touch the word is really, really hard, people, especially if you're not looking for it. Living in a dream, fantasy, programming yourself to believe that everything you want to be is a lie. Musk can be everything he thinks he wants to be in this world. He can buy his way through anything and everything. Now, when they count votes, who's counting the votes? People. You think he couldn't bribe them like he paid people to vote for Trump? He gave them $1 million to vote for Trump. What about people counting? I'll give you $5 million. Just say you counted 5 people instead of 1 billion. Whatever. Money is the root to all evil. Money will convert anybody to be evil. And you don't start off evil when you get it, but it becomes that. Because suddenly everybody's attacking you for your money, makes you more angry and frustrated. And you don't want that. And you don't want to be in a poor city, poor town, poor block with a bunch of poor people and starving people around you. You become egotistical and believe you're better. Every rich person thinks they're better than poor people. And poor people are much more considerate, compassionate, and loving than anybody else. Because they don't have the illusion of everything around them covering up who and what they are. They deal with it. Trump will never know. Musk will never know. They will. After them leaving this physical body in this world, they face where they're going to have to go and come back to. It'll be hell, but then again, they might not remember a single thing because most souls that reincarnate don't remember a thing and start all over as a person with no awareness. And when you attain true awareness, you don't come back. You don't have to. But you're abiding by God's laws, not man's laws. Abortion and all those things. Most people have no idea what it really means. Abortion to what? A baby that's not born yet? Abortion to a person's sperm? Abortion to what? What is life? When does life start? In a test tube? When? When does it die? Soul doesn't die. Soul comes into the body. It's not born of the body. People, I could go on, but I'm going to cut it today, right now. But if you got the balls to listen to the show and you made it to the end, congratulations, but I know most people won't. But if you do, please send this link to everybody you know. Let them try to open up their eyes to a little bit of truth instead of living in all the lies about what the government is, what religion is, and how this, that, and the other thing. Oh, I had a miracle. Oh, I have miracles. Miracle what? To live in hell? You know what God's worlds are like? When you leave this physical world, it gets 100 times better, then it becomes 1,000 times better, then it becomes 1,000,000 times better. First off, when you get into the astral plane, you can't be killed. All right, you don't die. But beyond that, it just gets better and better. But the problem that many people might subconsciously learn, when you go into the higher worlds of God, you're no longer male or female. And that'll take away a lot of thoughts and thinking from a lot of men in general. Oh, I don't ever have sex. Oh no, uh-oh. Or what? I'm going to be a woman? I can't be this, I can't do that. Well, you reincarnate over and over, but you do take men and women bodies. All right? And that's why a lot of people don't know what gender they are, because they're not aware of what that really means to them. I can go to my stories, but it's not here and now. But people, you created your reality. And it's going to change in the next couple months. And you're going to suddenly sit back and think, why? Why? Because you didn't think hard enough about who and what you are and what you really want. Women should have wanted freedom, the right to be and do whatever they want, period. No man should have the right over a woman under no circumstances, under no conditions. And no man should ever have the right to make more money or anything than a woman should. Or have the right to do this or the right to that. If they could pick up the same pound of weight, they're allowed to be a weightlifter. If they can throw a ball faster and as hard as any other guy can, they should be a baseball or any sport. If you can do what you need to do for that specific sport, job, there's no gender to it. In the old days, there was no such thing as a woman truck driver, but there are now. I mean, people, it's time to let go of the baggage you carry. But it's going to be hard. We're going to have a new president, Mr. Dictator himself, who was, I hope you saw the picture of him with Jeffrey Epstein and his wife. He was friends with them for years, people. I have more pictures of them together than I could have ever imagined. And then I even have a picture of Jeffrey next to the Pope, and the Pope's giving him whatever, who knows. So it shows you how corrupt and how ignorant the Pope really was. You know, if you look at a person, you can see their aura and know who and what they are. And that should be important, because you don't want to hang around with things that are going to stop you from becoming more aware, more spiritually aware, more aware of God or truth. Living in a box is not great. But if you're living in a box and told you that that's the only place you can be, you would say, wow, I'm living in a box. Well, but that's the way you want to live. Never mind what's going to happen to that box in the next year, the year after. Give Trump a week. Give him a month. But watch what happens in a year. What is he going to do to these people coming across the border? Families, children. Now, before I leave, one last thought. My brother's son, he was remarried. He worked on the border patrol. Do you know how many families were dying in a week's time trying to get across the border? Never even made it there. These trucks would take these families, drive them out into the desert, take their money, and just drop them off there. No food, no water, and let them starve and die. And they were bad people. They were trying to get away, that's all. And that went on for a long time. So if Trump even had counted how many people died in a year's time then, it would be incredibly horrible if he knew it and understood what was really going on. People trying to get away from junk and garbage. Hopefully, unless you're a drug dealer, you want to stay around drug people. But again, these people coming across the border, all of them, rape, murder, crime, and theft, didn't super increase because they came. Look at how the number of rape was in the United States way back when to now. No different. Murder. Who's doing the shooting in the schools and stuff? All these people coming across the border? No. And he wants everybody to have a gun? Really? You know, you think and program backwards. And Trump did a good job because he put himself on TV, 20 to 100 times a day? Soaking into people's subconscious mind? Well, I'm ending the show, but think about what you created and what you allowed to happen. Women, I feel sorry for you. You allowed it to change, and it's going to get worse. You need a woman in power, not a man. But you chose what you chose, and you will reap the rewards. Remember, it's easy for a camel to go to an eye of a needle than a rich person to get into heaven. Put your money into that rich person, you're really screwed. Truth only, people. Everything else is lies, and most everything you hear is a lie. Everything you read is a lie. And you're being programmed over and over. And alien races have been able to do that to people, rearranging our history. Mankind has no clue how they even got here. And it wasn't a meteorite bringing a spark of cells and they multiplied into humans. No, it's not like that. Something that multiplies doesn't change perfectly every time to something better. It's a mutation. And it's mutated into lots of things. We'd have 10 arms, 10 legs, 5 eyes, and multiple things, and that never happened, did it? Well, there's a control system. I'm not going to go into that anymore, but think about it. You're programmed to believe the lies. Watching Ancient Aliens and all these history channels, they don't know where the pyramids, why they were built, or anything about them. They've been on the TV for 16 years. Well, maybe aliens came and helped them. Maybe this, maybe that. The biggest people in the name field. Maybe I think. Who cares what you think? Thinking's useless. This is the real world. Factual. Things are happening. The air is contaminated. Water is contaminated. The food we eat is contaminated, people. All right. Over and out. Tommy Hawksblood here. Hawksblood1@AOL.com. Email me. You got questions, doubts, want the truth, want to lie, want to debate, anything. I'll debate any spiritual speaker, any person that thinks they're high and mighty or think they know something important, because they don't.